Hi everyone, how are you? Today we will be examining one very important concept of the life science of all the living beings to that matter, that is genetic code. We know very well that DNA is the material that makes life possible on this planet Earth. More than billion people are there in the world, male, female and the other gender, young, old and different types and different countries people are living. If you examine the fingerprint of any one of them, they will be different. Retina of different individuals will be different. In the same family, it is not the same. Like that, there are so many variations, but the design of the human beings remains the same. The design is the same, variations are many. How it is possible? Who makes this? Who makes these things? How the continuity of the design is going on? All these are the questions not today we are asking. It has been asked ever since man started learning new things. And we know by this time every individual knows about the DNA. DNA is the material that has been proved as genetic material that stores, not only stores, but also transmits the qualities to the offspring. This we know very well. How it is done was a question, and then they came to know it's DNA, and they deciphered the DNA, and they found out DNA is a very long chain of polynucleotides secured inside the nucleus in many organisms called eukaryotes, and in some organisms called prokaryotes. Still DNA is present, not in the nucleus but on its own. Like that, DNA happens to be a kind of a universal material that has got in it the genetic code. Information has been coded. How it is coded is very, very, very fascinating thing to understand. Let's know. We know that DNA has got only 4 bases in that: adenine, guanine, thymine and cytosine. These 4 bases which are present in the DNA will somehow combine in different forms, combinations to produce different characters, different behaviors, different types of individuals on the earth. And now that deciphering of the genetic code was a very difficult thing. However, we have come to a point where we understood many secrets of the DNA. Still a lot is there to understand. People are trying even now, and today, even now, research is going on about the DNA. Now let us come to the, because we are talking about the class 12, and therefore we will stick on to the NCERT material that will help us to understand for the examination. Okay, so we are working on genetic material, genetic code. Genetic code has got the genetic information in it. Genetic information is stored in the form of 4 letters sequence. That 4-letter sequence may be very long. It may contain 80,000, 100,000, 1 million, 6 million sequence of these four bases organized in different permutation combinations. And DNA has another strand on it called the complementary strand that has got exactly the opposite bases in it. How they are called complementary bases. That is the structure of DNA, you know very well. The information I said, information stored in the genetic code is translated into proteins, and these proteins will express themselves into various tissues, various organs, and various structures in the human body, and that is called gene expression. Gene sends the information from its DNA to RNA, that's called transcription. That mRNA brings that information and then translates that into proteins, and proteins will be either functional or they will be structural or do other things. Proteins may do many things. So every organism in the world, a living cell, contains lot of proteins, and that collection of proteins in one cell is called proteome. It's called proteome. Just like the genome, we can call that as proteome. So every cell is actually a bag of proteins. Some of them are structural, some of them are functional, some others may do different functions. For example, if the COVID-19 attacks the human being, then a new type of a protein is manufactured that will be able to fight the virus RNA. Therefore, the living cells have got the capacity to do many functions using the proteins. For all these things, there must be information, and that information is coded in the DNA, and that is coded only in 4 letters. These 4 letters organize themselves into repeated structures of different types in the form of genes, and genes will represent the part of a genetic material, and those genes will produce the polypeptide chain, and that will become the proteins. And to do the proteins, there will be amino acids, and these amino acids are combined. How they are combined, how they are joined, which amino acid picks up what, are all the